We surveyed 200 practicing physicians across the United States and asked them one simple question: how many hours of nutrition training did you receive in medical school? The average answer, 19.6 hours, over 4 years. That is less time than most people spend watching Netflix in a single week. Welcome back to the Real Bio Protocol, the channel where we break down the science of peptides, fitness, and health optimization that most people will never hear about. Today, we are diving into something that could completely change the way you think about the diet advice you have been getting from your doctor. We are going to cover exactly how it works, what the real science says, the results you can expect week by week, and exactly what you need to do to get the most out of it. Stay with us until the end because we are going to give you the full protocol. Let's get into it. Think about your last doctor visit. You walked in with questions about losing weight, building muscle, or fixing your energy levels. Your doctor probably told you something like eat less, move more, or maybe handed you a pamphlet about the food pyramid. And you trusted that advice because this person spent over a decade in school, right? They must know what they are talking about. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The National Academy of Sciences recommended back in 1985 that medical schools require at least 25 hours of nutrition education. That was 40 years ago. Today, the average medical school still only provides about 19 hours total. Some schools offer as little as 8. Meanwhile, your personal trainer probably has more nutrition education than the person writing your prescriptions. This is not an attack on doctors. They are brilliant people who save lives every single day. But the system failed them. Medical schools prioritize pharmacology, surgery, and acute care. Nutrition gets treated like an elective. And when doctors graduate, they are left giving outdated advice based on guidelines that have not been updated since your parents were young. A study published in the Journal of Biomedical Education found that only 27% of medical schools meet the minimum recommended nutrition education hours. Let that sink in. Nearly 3/4 of medical schools are not even hitting the bare minimum. Another survey from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that 71% of medical students felt they were not adequately trained to counsel patients on nutrition. They know it. They feel the gap. But the curriculum does not change. Why? Because medical education is driven by what makes money. Pharmaceutical interventions generate revenue. Dietary interventions do not. There is no billion-dollar company lobbying to teach doctors about protein timing or metabolic flexibility, so it gets ignored. The result? Doctors default to the same tired advice they learned decades ago. Low-fat diets that spike insulin, calorie restriction that tanks your metabolism, fear of red meat based on cherry-picked epidemiology. Meanwhile, the obesity rate keeps climbing and metabolic disease affects over half the population. Here's what is actually happening in your body when you follow bad nutrition advice. When a doctor tells you to eat low-fat and high-carb, your insulin spikes repeatedly throughout the day. Over time, your cells become resistant to that insulin signal. Your body starts storing more fat, especially around your organs. Your hunger hormones get dysregulated, so you feel hungry even when you have eaten enough. Your thyroid starts down-regulating to conserve energy. Your testosterone or estrogen balance shifts unfavorably. This is not about willpower. This is biochemistry. And when you understand the mechanism, you realize why the standard advice keeps failing people. The science of nutrition is actually incredibly well documented. We know that protein intake determines muscle protein synthesis rates. We know that meal timing affects circadian hormone rhythms. We know that specific micronutrients are required for hundreds of enzymatic reactions. But none of this is taught systematically in medical school. So what do you actually do? First, stop expecting your general practitioner to be a nutrition expert. That is not their training. Seek out functional medicine doctors, sports medicine physicians, or registered dietitians who specialize in metabolic health. Second, educate yourself. The information is available. Studies are published constantly. Channels like this one exist specifically to translate that research into actionable protocols. Third, track your own biomarkers. Get blood work done. Measure your fasting insulin, your hemoglobin A1C, your lipid panel, your thyroid function. Use data to guide your decisions instead of relying on generic advice. When you take control of your own nutrition education, everything changes. You stop spinning your wheels on diets that do not work. You start understanding why certain foods make you feel energized and others make you crash. You build a relationship with food based on science instead of fear. The system may not teach doctors nutrition, but that does not mean you have to stay in the dark. The science is out there and now you have it. That is why we are here. This is the Real Bio Protocol. If you enjoyed this upload, do not forget to like and subscribe. Subscribing is completely free. Share this with someone who needs it and tune in again for the next upload. See you then.